Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another explosive K-Way and Qurtuba online math show. I'm your host and presenter, Mr. K from the K-Way Institute. We're bringing it to you live here from Ravonia, from our Hilaal TV studios here in Ravonia, Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to the show, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed Tuesday's segment. Remember Tuesday's segment? If you haven't watched it, go on to Hilaal TV tomorrow. It will be uploaded on YouTube. You can have a look at Tuesday's episode, and we had some cracker questions that we killed it on Tuesday in Tuesday's segment. Right, welcome to today's segment, guys. It's another live show. It's another live show, and what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be choosing a host of questions, a variety of questions that are coming in live into studio now. So it's straight hot out of the oven, straight off the press, onto the board, and we're going to be cracking it with you. Grade 12s, this is crunch time. The number to call, 065-863-1440. That's the number to WhatsApp. Guys, don't call. WhatsApp, 065-863-1440. Right, I'd love to hear from you. And thank you guys all for the wonderful messages that you guys have been sending through the week. Okay, so let's get cracking. Let's not delay. I hope you got your scientific calculators. Grade 12s, you are writing next week, Friday, the national exam. So we are 1 week away from it. And remember, next week, Tuesday, we've got a live session again, same time, same place. And next week, Thursday, we've got a bumper 2-hour session from 9 o'clock at night to 11 o'clock. We're going to be live, taking your questions, cracking it, making you fully prepared for Friday's math paper 1. Right, so next week, Friday, math paper 1. Hope you guys are all ready. Let's get the show going, guys. Let's get the show going. The first question that came in here, they said, prove that. So let's take this one here. We're going to be doing, so I'm not doing exclusively paper 1. I'm changing. We're going to be choosing some paper 1 questions. I'll be doing some calculus, some algebra, a little bit of everything, just so that you know exactly what. And I hope you've been watching the show every night at 9 p.m. here on Hilaal TV. Right, so let's get started. Prove that the square root of b square root a minus b multiplied by the square root of b root a plus b is equal to b square root a minus 1. Now, I don't know who this one came from. They didn't put a name in there, right? This one came through, and let's see. Let's just double check that our question is correct, that we've taken it down correct. Root a minus b, root b plus b is equal to b into a minus 1. So that's the first question that came in, and let's have a crack at this one. Let's see what we do with this. Okay, guys, let's start. In your answer, we're going to start on the left-hand side. Obviously, we need to make the left-hand side look like the right-hand side. So what do we have here? We got a square root of a number times the square root of a different number. So just to show you what we do with this, if you had, I'm just showing you the rule. If you had the square root of x and you multiplied it by the square root of y, two different numbers, that would become the square root of x times y. So that means that would be the root of both these numbers, the product of the two numbers underneath. Okay, so let's go. So this is equal to, so the square root of a number, let's call that x, and let's call that y, would be the square root of x times y. So that would be b root a minus b into b root a plus b. There we go. I'm going to put a tick here. I hope you all understood that. Right? Becomes the square root of the product of these two that are underneath the third sign. There we go. Right, what do we do now? Or what do we recognize first? What do we recognize? And yes, you're saying it aloud, or you're saying it to yourself. Yes, you are right. It's the difference of two squares. So here goes. So that is the square root of. So we've got a term minus a term plus a term. So there we go. That's the difference of two squares. What are we going to do there? Right, let's multiply. Now, when you're doing the difference of two squares, you can just do the first two and you can do the second two. You don't need to FOIL it out. You don't need to do first, outer, inner, last. You can just do the two first terms and the two last terms. Why? Because your outer and inner will cancel each other out. So you don't need to worry. So you just do the first two and the second two. So let's go. B times b is b squared times Root A times root A is A minus B times, I'm just going to go through that again. B times B is B squared. Root A times root A is A. Negative times positive is a negative. B times B is B squared. Right, we need to make it look like that. We need to make it look like the right-hand side. So that is the square root of, I've got two terms. What's common? B squared. What's left over? Right, we're taking out the highest common factor. We're taking out the highest common factor. So I'm left with B squared and B squared will cancel. I'm left with A minus B squared divided by B squared is 1. Now, what is the square root of B squared? The only perfect square underneath the third sign is B squared. What is the square root of B squared? Is B square root. And what am I left with? A minus 1. There we go. Therefore, left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that one answers your question. And guys, you can answer this in these 4 steps exactly the way I've answered it on the screen here is exactly the way you can answer it in your paper. So thank you so much for the learner that sent that one through. I want to go through another question. So here comes another set of questions. Let's see who's sending messages through here. We're getting a whole... Oh, Kayla from Cape Town, you sent that one. Oh, okay. Welcome, Kayla. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. All right, let's go through another question here. Now, one of the questions that also came out in the Gauteng prelim paper that got everybody bombed with regard to calculus. So let's see now, calculus, this is the new style of them asking questions. Normally, they'll ask you the calculus optimization. Remember, calculus optimization. They will ask it to you. So let's just erase that. I hope you've taken this one down. There are different styles in which they can ask optimization in calculus. So let me just put this down here for you. Right. Under calculus optimization. Under optimization. Right. The first type, you can get it in terms of volume and totals or total surface area. Right. Where they give you a shape and you need to find the minimum or maximum. Solve for X and find the minimum or maximum volume or total surface area. The second type, they can give it to you in terms of graphs. So at one stage, they went crazy asking you only this type, volume and total surface area. As the years progressed, they went on to optimization in terms of graphs. Then as they moved along, they gave you optimization in terms of speed and velocity. Speed, velocity, and acceleration. Right? So if you're going through your past papers, let's say from 2018 or 2017, right up till 2022, you'll see the progression in all the different styles of questions under optimization in calculus. And now they're giving you a new one in terms of manufacturing. So they're giving you cost price, they're telling you profit. Maximizing profit. Another word for optimization is maximization. Maximization. Right? This is calculus application in real life. So you had volume and total surface area in terms of a shape. You had optimization in terms of graphs. You have optimization in terms of speed, velocity, acceleration, and you got optimization in terms of manufacturing and product. So take these 4 down. You need to prepare for all 4. We don't know exactly what they're going to ask us in next week's paper. They might ask it to us in terms of volume, graph, speed, or manufacturing or profit. But I don't know. I can't. I don't even have a hunch. I can't even tell you exactly which one. But the one that it's leaning towards, it's usually leaning towards this. Right? So if you are a matric teacher, if you're a grade 12 teacher, or you are one of the department officials, maybe you can guide us as to wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe you can send us a message and say, focus on this one, Mr. K. That will be greatly appreciated for our learners of South Africa. Let us start with the one that came out in the prelim paper I see my earpiece here is jumping out of my ears. Let's do the one that came out in the prelim paper, Gauteng prelim paper, right? And I think this one cracked everybody because as I was marking, there were very few learners that actually got this one right. So they tell you, let's check, they tell you that the profit, WX, earned by a company earned by a company that manufactures X bicycles per week. Can you see they're asking you in terms of manufacturing, X bicycles per week, is given by Wx equals minus x cubed over 150 plus 3x squared minus 250x minus 2,700. Right. So obviously, this person who owns this manufacturing plant, he must have been mathematically inclined, or he must have got an actuary or somebody to actually work out the formula to maximize his profit for X number of bicycles per week. And they came up with this equation that for his company, that would be the equation for his maximum number of bicycles that need to be produced. Now they say, what should the weekly bicycle production be to maximize profit? Calculate the maximum weekly production of bicycles to maximize profit per week. Obviously, the purpose of any businessman is to maximize his profit. And this question here is worth 8 marks. Okay, so that's the question in your exam. Let's see what do we do. Now, let me tell you the basic, the generic template for these type of questions. So whether it's speed, whether it's your graphs, whether it's volume and total surface area, or whether it is manufacturing, right? The basic concept is you have an equation. What you want to do is you want to derive it. You want to find the derivative. You want to apply the power rule. And then you want to equate it to 0 for maximum or minimum. Then you want to solve for x. Once you get x, you plug it back into your original in order to get whatever you are looking for. So I'm going to state it again. Maybe I'm speaking a little too fast. Hear me out. You're going to get an equation, no matter what equation they're going to give you, right? What you want to do is like finding, do you know what process is this? It's like finding the turning point of a graph. Remember, when we are finding a turning point of any graph, now we know this is a cubic graph. So whether it is a negative cubic graph or whether it is a positive cubic graph, right? How do we find the turning points? Remember, SPs or the stationary points. How do we find the stationary points of this graph, right? We take the equation, whatever equation they give us. Step number 2, we find the derivative. After we find the derivative, we equate it to 0 for minimum or maximum. And then we solve for x. After we solve for x, we take x and we put it back into the equation. And that will give you your minimum or your maximum. Right? So these are your steps. You got an equation, find your derivative, equate it to 0, solve for x to find your minimum or maximum. And that's exactly what we are going to do here. So we got Wx is equal to, so here's our equation. So do I have the equation? I'm asking you, grade 12s, do I have the equation? Yes, I do. Do I have the derivative? No, I don't have it yet. Can I find the derivative? Yes. So let's go and do it. Right, so here we go. Wx is equal to, there's a 1 there, minus 1 over 150 x cubed. Right? Remember, I'm not getting rid of the 150. If you had an unknown at the bottom, you'd bring it up. But this is a known, so we're splitting it up. Plus 3x squared minus 250x minus 2,700. Right, so now W dash x. So now we're going to do the power rule. And what is the power rule? We're finding the derivative. We are finding the gradient. We are finding the stationary points. We are finding the turning points of that graph. It's a cubic graph. In fact, this graph is represented by that, just to show you, so you have a picture in your mind, that this graph, because it's cubed and it's negative, is represented by that. That is a negative cubic function. So let's go. Power rule. Power times coefficient. Positive times negative is a negative. That's 3 over 150 x, and we subtract 1 from the power. 3 minus 1 is 2. That is the power rule. That is the power rule. To find the derivative, power times coefficient, we are differentiating. We are differentiating, we are finding the derivative, we are applying the power rule. Right, plus 2 times 3 is 6x, minus 1 times 250 is 250. 1 minus 1 is 0. X plus 0 is 1. 2,700 falls away, right? Because the derivative of a constant is 0. Do you know why the derivative of a constant is 0? A constant is a straight line. A constant is a straight line. And what is the derivative? What is the gradient of a straight line? 0, because it's got no slope. The derivative of a straight line is 0. Therefore, the derivative of a constant is 0. That will fall away. So we've got this plus that minus that, and let's go. Now we say for minimum or maximum. For minimum or maximum, what do we know? W dash x must equal to 0. Why? Because your derivative, this is minimum. This is minimum in this graph here. That's your minimum. That's your maximum. What do you know about your derivative? It's a straight line going. Derivative is equal to 0. Derivative is equal to 0. So anytime in mathematics, guys, anytime in mathematics, when they talk about minimum or maximum, listen to me and listen clearly, grade 12. Anytime in your paper, whether it's in functions, whether it is in calculus, whether it is in trig graphs, anytime they use the word minimum or maximum, even in number patterns, in the quadratic number pattern, when they're asking you for the minimum number of terms or the maximum number of terms, the minute they use the word minimum or maximum, you find the derivative and you make the derivative equal to 0. Why? Because that's our turning point. Okay, let's go here. Let's continue. Okay, so here we go. Our derivative must equal to 0. So minus 3 over 150 is 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 150 50 times. So 1 over 50 x squared plus 6x minus 250 is equal to 0. So there we go. Our derivative is equal to 0. Let's multiply. We now need to solve for x. Let's multiply everything by 50, right? I want to get rid of this 50. So we're going to multiply that by 50. We're going to multiply that by 50. We're going to multiply that by 50. And we're going to multiply that by 50, right? To get rid of the 50. So 50 and 50 will cancel. You're left with minus x squared plus 50 times 6 is 300x minus 250 times 50 is 10,000. Am I right? 250 times 50, 12,500. Minus 12,500 is equal to 0. 0 times 50 is 0. Let's get rid of the negative sign. So we got x squared minus 300x. We change all the signs. Plus 12,500 is equal to 0. Now we need to factorize. This is a quadratic equation. You're now going to get two x values. You're going to get a positive x value, and you might get a negative x value. So I'm just going to go to my scientific calculator here. I'm going to go to, those of you who got the silver Casio calculators, those of you who got the silver ones that say you go mode equation. Remember, it factorizes the cubic and it factorizes. Please go into your exams with the silver Casio calculator, right? So let's go. I think it's the FX991, right? FX991. There we go. I'm just using it on my phone. On Android, it's got the calculator here on the phone. And we are now going to go mode, and we're going to factorize. And we've got 1 equals minus 300 equals. And then you've got 12,500 equals. X1 is 50, X2 is 250. Right? If you checked it out on your calculator, X1, X2, your two X values, the one is 50, the other is 250. Now let's see. Calculate the week. So we solve for X. Calculate the maximum weekly production of bicycles to maximize profit. Let's put in 250. Where do I put in 250? I put in 250 back into the original. So now I go WX, therefore. So I've solved for X. There was our equation. We found the derivative. We solve for x. There we go. We solve. Can you see? We're using this procedure religiously. The rules that I showed you on the side, we're using it religiously. Take the 250, put it minimum, maximum. You substitute back into original equation, not back into your derivative. Right? We've got 5 minutes. We're going to finish this question. Let's go. So we've got W250 is equal to minus 1 over 150 into 250 cubed plus 3 into 250 squared minus 250 into 250 minus 2,700, and it makes perfect sense. Let's see what is the is 250. They just said solve for x for maximum. So we want to see whether we get a positive answer. If I get a negative here, I've got to choose the lower x. Listen, I'm only substituting to see whether I get a positive answer. If I get a positive answer, then my answer is 250 bicycles. 250 they didn't say calculate your maximum profit. They said solve for X for maximum profit. So 250. When you put it in here, you definitely get a positive answer. Your answer is 250. So therefore, 250 bicycles need to be manufactured for maximum profit. If they ask you calculate your maximum profit, then obviously you'll just give whatever answer this is, right? This is maximum profit. This is maximum profit in rands, right? Or in dollars, whatever currency you're going to be utilizing. So let's go. Let's just do it. We're going to wrap up now. We're going to go for break. We're going to come back and we're going to be cracking some more questions, some crazy questions, some lovely questions. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Let's go through. Let's do this one. Minus 1 over 150 into 250 to the power 3 plus 3 into 250 squared minus 250 into 250 minus 2,700. Boom. Let's see. 18,133 rand. 18,133 rand, 33 cents per week. So this person can only, the maximum profit that this person can make manufacturing bicycles per week is 18,000. So 1836, so he'll probably make 76, 36, 36, 72. He'll make about 72,000 rand per month producing 250 bicycles per week given this equation. Okay, so it makes perfect sense. As always, everything in maths must make sense. If it's not making sense, you're not doing math and you're not enjoying it. Guys, we're cutting for break. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Guys, we're back from the break. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. We ended up with calculus. Welcome back. I'm your host, I'm your presenter, Mohammed Kota from the K-Way Institute. I hope you guys are loving today's show. Right, first, before we get on, we got some comments that came in through the break. Kayla, how's it? How's it, Kayla? And we've got a big shout out to Mandy, or the mom of Mandy. Let's just see who was the shout out here to. Please give a shout out to my mom, Mandy. Oh, hi, Mandy. You're loving the show. Thank you so much. Maybe next week you guys can come here to studio and come and sit and join us live here in studio in Ravonia. So if you guys got some time next week, Thursday, for the 2-hour show, give us a shout, make a booking and come and join us here in studio. That would be awesome. Okay, so here goes. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for enjoying the show. Let's get cracking. Let's get cracking. We finished off with the calculus. Now, another calculus trick. I'm going to show you a little calculus hack, especially when it comes to the volume and total surface area. Now, you guys know that you got different formulas. You have different formulas for total surface area. We're going to do a total surface area question, right? You got different formulas for total surface area. I'm going to give you on this show, and you're only getting it here on the show, I'm going to give you one formula that you can use for all your standard shapes. I know some of you are saying, huh? What? Yes, one formula that you can use for all your standard shapes. So whether it is a square, your standard shapes, so whether it's a square, whether it's a rectangle, right? Or whether it is, so a cube, a square or a cube, a rectangle or a prism, or a triangular prism, or a cylinder. These are what we call our standard shapes. I'm going to give you one formula that you can use for total surface area. It's going to be highly beneficial. You're not going to get these formulas in the exam. Total surface area is equal to 2 times area of base. So just bear with me, work with me here. 2 times area of base plus perimeter of base times your height. Right? So basically, we're going to summarize this. We're going to make it even shorter. 2AB, 2 times area of base, plus perimeter of base, PB, perimeter of base, times your height. So just remember this. Total surface area for all your standard shapes is going to be 2AB plus PBH, but it must be closed on the top and bottom. Closed top and bottom, meaning that if you had a cylinder, let's take a cylinder, let's draw a cylinder there. Right, if it's closed on the top, closed at the bottom, that is why we have 2. 2 times area of base. So obviously the area of the base would be pi r squared, because it's a circle, it's a cylinder, it's round, plus perimeter of base would be 2 pi r times your height. That's for a cylinder. Right? And why are we saying 2 times area of base? Because we got 2 bases. It's common sense. A triangular prism like that, a triangular, like a Toblerone box. You know, you all eat chocolate. So like a Toblerone box. Right, we want to find the total surface area, the total outside area of it. We've got 2 bases. It's closed on the top and closed at the bottom. So 2 times area of base plus perimeter of your base. So area of the base here would be half base times perpendicular height. Your perimeter of the base would be side plus side plus side. Remember, the perimeter of a circle here is 2 pi r. That is another word for perimeter is called circumference or your perimeter. And the area here would be pi r squared. Right? So 2 times area of base plus perimeter of your base times, that obviously is your height. 2 times area of base plus perimeter of your base times your height. The same thing for a rectangular prism. A rectangular prism would look like that. A rectangular prism would look like that. 2 times area of base plus perimeter of your base times your height. And a square or a cube, you know what a square or a cube looks like. So we're going to do that, like an ice block. So there we go. We want to find out what's the total surface area. So remember this, 2AB plus PBH. Now you might ask, what happens if the top is open, like a drinking glass, like a brandy glass or whiskey glass or a tumbler? Durban fellas, hey, we're saying tumbler, like a tumbler. Right, so here we got one tumbler here. Right, a drinking tumbler, a drinking glass. It's closed at the bottom, open on the top. So come on, common sense. Can I say 2 times area of base? No. How many bases are there? Only 1. So now you can just adjust the formula and say 1 times area of base plus perimeter of your base times your height to find out the total surface area. And let's say it was a toilet roll holder, right? We're talking toilet stories here on the show. Say this was a toilet roll holder. It's only closed there on the outside, but the 2 ends are open, so there are no bases. So we can adjust, we can manipulate this formula. So total surface area of a toilet roll holder will just be perimeter of your base times your height. So just remember this one formula, 2AB plus PBH, and you can manipulate it for whichever shape you want. Okay, don't forget this formula, guys. It's going to be a very useful formula, especially you're going to see it. I'm going to do an example now from a past paper, and you're going to see exactly how we crack this one, how we dala it on the show. Okay, so stay tuned. I hope you guys are learning nicely, enjoying math. Remember, math is life. No math, no life. Right, math is energy. You can be fast asleep, but when you start with math, you wake up. Right, it activates your brain cells. It keeps you sharp between the ears. Right, let's get started. The length of a rectangular block is 4 times its breadth. Take this one down. The length of a rectangular block. Right, I won't be able to answer all the questions that came through now, but remember, through our series of shows, today's show, next week Tuesday show, and next week Thursday show, inshallah, God willing, we will complete everything, whatever came through on the WhatsApp. So guys, just bear with us and stick with us with the show, right? Remember, we're getting thousands of questions. I can only do some selected problems. I can only do what comes up first or as we scroll through it. So we've got a good variety for our show. So, but don't worry, but we acknowledge every single person's question that came in here, right? So we love you lots. The length of a rectangular block is 4 times its breadth. Right, follow us here. Follow us. This is an 8 to 10 mark question in your exam under calculus optimization. The length of a rectangular block is 4 times the breadth, and the total surface area and TSA, the total surface area, is 600 square meters. Right, let's see. Let the breadth be x. Let the breadth be x. Right, here comes the question. So that's your scenario. That is your scenario. Let's go to the question. What does the question say? Right, this earpiece giving me a bit of stories here. Let's go. Determine the maximum value of, determine the value of x for maximum volume. Find x. One question for 10 marks. Find x giving maximum volume and hence find the maximum volume. One question, 10 marks. Now remember, this question always comes at the end of calculus. So your calculus in your paper is worth 40 marks. Your last question for 10 marks will always be this optimization, these optimization questions, right? So you want to get it right. You don't want to get 30 out of 40, right? You don't want to, 30 out of 40 is 3/4, 0.75. You'd only get 75% for calculus if you left this one out. So remember, we're not here to pass, we're here to get a distinction. We're not here for 75%. We want to get 95 plus in every single topic. So let's go. Let's identify. So they're talking about total surface area here. And then, but watch here, look at the question. The length of a rectangular block, 4 times its breadth. Total surface area is 600. Let the breadth be x. Find x giving maximum volume, and hence find the maximum volume. So they're talking about two concepts here. They're talking about total surface area, and they're talking about volume. So let's go in our answer. That's the question. Here's the answer. I know some of you matriculants, some of you grade 12s, you're already working this out as I'm talking to the audience or as I'm talking to the viewers. You guys are already working it out. Keep it up. I know some of you got the answer already, right, Kayla? I know you sent the answer for 250 bicycles here, even before I got the answer, so well done. Big kudos, 10 brownie points for you. Let's go. Okay, the length of a rectangular block. Let me shut up. The length of a rectangular block. So here we go. Here's a rectangular block. So we say, so let's do that. Let's do that. Right, so there we go. Let's call this length. Let's call that the length. Let's call that the breadth, and let's call that the height. Okay, so the length of a rectangular block is 4 times its breadth. So let the breadth be x. So we're going to have x. And the length is 4 times its breadth. So the length is 4x. That is height. We don't have it. And they tell you total surface area of the box, TSA, is equal to 600 square meters. Right. Find x. So it's very good sometimes in the exam, guys, just to draw a rough sketch of the box so that you know. The box is not given to you. The box is not given to you. You need to make sure that you draw a rough sketch of the box so you have an idea. You got a picture in your mind of where you're going with this question. So let's start off. Now, a rectangular block. It's a block, right? So that means, there we go. That's the rectangular block. It's closed on the top. It's closed at the bottom. Okay, so here goes. So that means total surface area. Total surface area is equal to 2 times area of base plus perimeter of base times your height. It's a rectangular block, and it's closed on the top, closed at the bottom, so it's 2 times area. So total surface area is 600, is equal to 2 times area of the base is length times breadth, because it's rectangular prism, plus perimeter of the base. Perimeter of your base is 2 times length, 2 times length plus 2 times breadth times your height. So that's what's given to us. Can you see how we converted the information into an equation? Now remember, we got a problem here. And where does our problem lie? Our problem lies here with the h. So watch here. 600 is equal to 2 into length times breadth is 4x times x plus 2 times 4x is 8x plus 2 times x is 2x times your height. So 600 is equal to 2 into 4x times x is 4x squared plus 8x plus 2x is 10x times h. So 600, I'm just removing all the brackets and collecting terms, like terms if we can. 4 times 2 is 8x squared plus 10xh. Right, now we're left with this. At this point here, generally you get stuck because you don't know what to do. The first thing I want you to do in the exam is make h the subject of the formula because you want the height. You want the height in terms of x. You got x here, you got x here. You don't have your height in terms of x. That's what you want to find. First, we need everything. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's say 600 minus 8x squared is equal to 10xh, right? Is equal to 10xh. I only want h. I want to isolate h. So I'm going to divide by 10x. I'm going to divide by 10x. I'm going to divide by 10x. That and that will cancel out. I'm left with h is equal to 600 divided by 10 is 60 over x minus 2 goes into there 4 times, 2 goes into there 5 times. X squared divided by x1, x to the power 2 over x to the power 1 is x. So my height is no longer called h. What is height now called? Height is now called, height is no longer height. Height is now called 60 over x minus 4 over 5x. And there we go. We now got our height in terms of x. So this was the first part of the 10 marks where we spoke about the total surface area. Now we need to find volume. So this was step number 1. This entire component here, was step number 1. Now we go on to step number 2. So let's label this. Step number 1. Now we go into step number 2. Right, so step number 1 spoke about total surface area. There we go. So what do you think step number 2 is going to talk about? Volume. All right? Step number 2 is now going to talk about your volume. And what do we know about volume? Volume of a prism is length times breadth times height. This you've been taught in grade 7. So volume is equal to, what's your length? 4x times your breadth is x multiplied by your height. What's your height? 60 over x minus 4 over 5x. So volume is equal to 4x times x, 4x squared into 60 over x. There we go, 60 over x minus 4 over 5 or 4x over 5. So volume is equal to, let's go. 6 times 4 is 24, so that's 240. X squared divided by x is x. Positive times negative is a negative. 4 times 4 is 16 over, remember that's over 1. 1 times 5 is 5. X squared times x is x to the power 3. So volume is equal, volume in terms of x. This is your volume in terms of x. Now we still need to find x giving, that's why it's worth 10 marks. We still need to find x giving maximum volume, and then we need to find, because the question says, find x giving maximum volume and hence find the maximum volume. So you got another 2 parts to go. So right, I'm moving over to the side. Right, I'm moving over to the side. So this is V, so I'm just going to put V here. Right, each step here. So that's your volume, 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 volume. I'm going to move over to the side. Step number 3. We're now going to be using the derivative. Why, guys? Why do we use the derivative? Because it says find x giving maximum volume. So for derivative, your minimum or your maximum must equal to 0. So now let's find the derivative of this. So therefore, dv over dx is equal to 1 times 240 is 240 minus, that's a negative, positive times negative is a negative, 16 times 3 or 3 times 16 is 48 over 5 x squared. right? We subtract 1 from the power, is equal to 0. Let's multiply everything by 5. So let's write this out again. 240 minus 48 over 5x squared is equal to 0. Let's multiply everything by 5. So 240 times 5, I want to get rid of that 5. So 240 times 5, that gives me 1,200 minus 48x squared, right? I got rid of the 5 is equal to 0. Which way you want to do it? Let's say minus 48x squared is equal to minus 1,200. That and that cancels out. X squared is equal to 1,200 divided by 48. X squared is equal to, moment of truth coming up, divided by 48. And I get 25. Haha. Guys, when you start getting answers like this, whole numbers, and you know this is perfect, you don't think you're right? Yeah, you said it. You know you're right. So x is equal to plus or minus 5. Now, we don't know yet which one is, so now here we go, which is x giving maximum volume and hence find the maximum volume. Let's put in plus 5. Let's put plus 5 back into here. Let's put in plus 5. So volume is equal to 240 into 5 minus 16 over 5 into 5 cubed. Let's see. Does that work? 240 into 5, close brackets. Let's go. Let's go back. Minus 16 over 5, 16 over 5 into 5 cubed. What do I get? I get 800. I get 800 square units, right? So this is volume. So it's cube, units cubed. Units cubed. And there we go. That's the maximum volume. So 5 works. We don't get a negative answer. If I tried minus 5, let's see what do I get if I get minus 5. If I put negative 5, I put negative 5 there, and let's put negative 5. Let's see, do I get a higher amount or a lower amount? You get minus 800. So if you put in negative 5, you get minus 800, and volume can never be negative. Volume can never be negative. Guys, time flies when we are having fun. We've only got 5 minutes, unfortunately. I'd love to stay with you much longer, right? But unfortunately, we only got 5 minutes left. So guys, this is it. So here we go. Step number 1, what did we do? We used the total surface area formula that I just taught you. There we go. Total surface area, 2 times area of base plus perimeter of base times height. We made h the subject of our formula. We then found h. Step number 2, we used our volume. Step number 3, we used our derivative. We solved for x. Step number 4. So that was step number 3. And now step number 4, we'll just identify. Let's just highlight that. Step number 4, here's your final answer. There's your final answer, 800 cubed, because find x giving maximum volume. We just found x. There we go. 5 is x giving maximum volume, and hence find your maximum volume. You sub it back into original. You sub this back into original equation. Your original volume equation. Where's your original? We subbed it back into here. So there we go, and we got 800 cubic units. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but unfortunately, there's no shortcut for this. It's worth 10 marks. It's about a page of calculation. You have to do the work, right? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Mandy, Kayla, everybody else, whoever, our learners from Roshni Islamic School and all over the country. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Keep the comments coming. Remember, even during the week, keep on posting to the Hilaal number that appears up on your screen. Send up all your questions. You'll be lucky, you'll be fortunate. I pick up your question and we'll do it here in studio. Guys, like I said, if you guys want to join us next week, you want a cohort, please just contact Hilaal TV Studios, and maybe you can be part of our live crew next week, Thursday. 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. next week, Thursday, the night before title fight. So guys, stay strong. I'm your host and presenter, Mr. K. See you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.